Let me know when we're
good on both.
Live on StreamYard. All right. So welcome, everyone. Looks like we have a few people tuning in here from TikTok. We are having to film on the road today, so please forgive the car view. Just giving this a second to let a few people tune in here through YouTube also. And we'll go ahead and get started. All right, welcome. We've got Mary. I do want to let you guys know that if you missed the previous sermons here for Roots Revival Interfaith, you can go onto my YouTube at Ask Ivy, and you can check out Roots Revival Interfaith up in the playlist to see all of the previous sermons. You can also, anywhere that you can download a podcast, if you'd like to be on the move and listen that way. Okay, you could also hear us there. Welcome, Bethany, Elaine, Kelly. Okay, good. Looks like we do have a few people tuning in. So again, just wanted to explain to you guys, I had to head out of town today and I got stuck in a bit of a snowstorm. It has not snowed yet here in New York, and so it really put me out of commission. So I did not plan on doing this from the car, but that's how it's going to go tonight. Regardless, very grateful to have everybody here. Happy to be doing this. We have with us our lovely numerologist, Reverend Danny Johnson. How are you, Danny?
I'm wonderful and grateful to be here with everybody.
Okay, good. And then we have our astrologer, Reverend Christina Del Rey. How are you, Christina?
I'm good. I'm freezing, though. I can't imagine how cold you must be in the car.
Well, I have the heater running right now. The rain and the snow is picking up, so we'll see how that goes. Yeah, it's definitely dropped like at least 20, 25 degrees. Okay, so welcome everyone. For those of you tuning in through TikTok, should you have any technological issues or audio problems, switch over to YouTube at Ask Ivy to catch the full sermon. And we do ask everyone tuning in right now to please give this video a thumbs up, follow, subscribe. Donations are appreciated. Start posting your prayer and healing requests now. We'll be getting to those about halfway through the sermon, checking with questions and comments at that point, and then toward the end we'll do the prayer and healing requests. Also, we are an interactive church, so we do ask you guys to post again your questions and comments throughout the sermon, and we'll be taking those as well the best that we can here today. Now, I am your pastor, Reverend Ivy Rivera. Again, this is Roots Revival Interfaith, where we believe in the three main truths in the universe. That is intuitive intelligence. That means your psychic, mediumistic, empathic abilities. It is numerology and astrology. When you observe these three truths in the universe, they lead you to a greater understanding of yourself, your life journey, your purpose here on earth. They help you to heal, and they help you to go out and heal others in the world. So we hope that you get to listen to all of the previous sermons and learn more about those three truths. Now, today we are talking about opening the door. And this is a great follow-up sermon to the last 2 weeks. So we did a part 1 and a part 2 the last couple weeks on obeying spirit. What happens when you are not obeying spirit? And today we're going to talk more about what happens when you do. Okay, what should follow after that? So go back, listen to those two to learn more about the consequences and the positive effects of obeying spirit. Now, what I want to focus on here today, and I'm going to go first, then I'm going to open this up to Reverend Danny and Reverend Christina. I want to talk about the results of following Spirit's guidance. When the universe tells you to do something, when your higher mind, your gut instinct tells you there's something that needs to be done, whether it is letting go of somebody, releasing a situation, making a change to your career, really diving into some uncharted territory in your life and trying to complete something within your life contract, whatever it is that we're supposed to do, we go through a period, sometimes for even several years, where the universe, spirit, our ancestors, our guides, continuously show us this is what needs to be done. This is what needs to change. And if we do obey, we're going to find that afterward, there's a period of sadness. There can be a significant period of loss. And we like to march on and soldier on and pretend like everything's okay, especially if we just stepped out in blind faith and we just made a huge change to our life. But the reality is that toxic positivity, right? Positive thinking is not going to eliminate the fact that you need to honor the grief process. The reality that with every major level up, with every major change in your life, comes the death of something else. And that's okay. I think it's important that we take more time to reflect on this space, because if we don't allow for that discomfort, that sadness, those feelings of loss, we can end up stagnating out yet again in refusing to walk through the doors of new opportunity and adventure that are awaiting us. So Spirit never leaves you hanging. The universe never drops you. When you make the change you're supposed to make, all of a sudden, great new prosperity, blessings, and opportunities arise. But you still have to be bold in walking through those doors or opening those doors that you now have keys to, and doing it with a positive attitude and continuing on that journey using blind faith. And this is where a lot of people get stuck yet again. So I think it's so important to look at different times in your life. This can help you go forward. And I do this for myself regularly. If I know I'm going through a major change, it's really testing me and growing me, I will look back at my past at another time when I kept faith, I went through a change and a transformation, and it led to something greater. And I will hold on to the belief that that's going to happen, even if I don't have that immediate gratification. If I don't see it instantly, it's on the horizon, and I believe that. I know it to be true. So it's important for us to understand that the losses that come with change should be identified. It can help to even do a ceremony, a releasing ceremony, a ceremony even of gratitude for whatever needed to go or whoever needed to go. In a way, you're using alchemy to convert it from negative to positive. And then you immediately need to set your eyes on where you're headed. Try as hard as you can to stop looking backward. We have a previous sermon on emotion versus intuition in the playlist. We have another one on logic versus intuition. This would be a great time for you guys to go back and listen to those, because typically what happens is that you start overthinking and you drag your energy down. You fall out of your intuition, your right brain thinking, and you go too far left, logical brain thinking, worrying about what happened, wanting to know what's going to happen next, fearing that you don't have all the steps ahead of you lit. And we get tied up in the emotions of anxiety and fear that come with that. And the reality is, we're not going to see every step ahead of us. We're only going to be shown the next step right in front of us. We have to take that step in order to see the next step following it. So we want to stay in the present moment. And one of the things that can help you to do that is to distract yourself from those thoughts and all of those feelings and stay steady with your intuition. I had an example in my life that I wanted to use tonight, probably the biggest one I ever had, where I knew that Spirit was telling me I needed to step out and do something new. And it had to do with reading, giving psychic mediumship readings and healings for the public. But I had spent 6.5 years working on my journalism degree. And in May, when I was graduating with that degree, I was shown by Spirit that I was to start doing these readings for the public. Literally, it was simultaneous. And I knew that was going to do so much damage to my reputation and all the hard work I put in, because psychic mediums don't get the kind of acknowledgement and respect that they deserve to. And it was absolutely disastrous for me to do as a journalist, to come out and start doing this work for the public. But I did it. I abide. I stayed faithful. And within 4 months, I had a full-time reading business, and the Ivy League Psychic Academy started to unroll on its own. I want to say that within about 2 years, Spirit started to show me this church, Roots Revival InterFaith. Spirit showed me what the name of the church was supposed to be. It would be a while before my two reverends were ready to, show up in my life and to be here to do this with me. But everything that has grown from that point 10 years ago, when I stepped out and I boldly, in blind faith, allowed myself to follow the guidance Spirit was giving, has led to phenomenal blessings, one after another after another. And, now I can say I'm honored with the duty of healing people all over the world. And so you really don't know, even though it was a tremendous loss and I had to grieve that, for many years, the loss of my journalism degree and all that effort, it has absolutely paid off. And I know many of us have examples like that in our lives. And we need to reflect on those and hold on to those. Every single time, it's time to level up. I do want to open this up to Reverend Danny or Reverend Christina, whoever wants to talk next. Again, I want to remind you guys to please post your questions and comments. We'll be taking those throughout. We are an interactive church. Please also post your prayer and healing requests. We'll be taking those at the end, and donations are appreciated. Okay. Who wants to go next?
I'll share next. I'm grateful for that we have the chance to reflect on this topic with you, Reverend Ivy, and with Reverend Christina. The example of doors being open and having faith and walking through them, I feel like my most poignant example to this point in my life really has to do with mediumship as well. So in July of 2019, I knew that it was time for me to start training with Reverend Ivy in mediumship, and that felt very natural. It felt very right. Having family on both sides of my family from New Orleans, from my dad's family, my mom's maternal family, it really, really felt right. The thing is, the open door came when through a transition, my mom's actual transition. So when I started training in mediumship in July of 2019, I had no clue that my mom would end up passing while I was training in mediumship. So halfway through, so the way that Reverend Ivy used to organize her training was through a part 1 and part 2. So I remember completing part 1 of mediumship training, like the introductory kind of level of mediumship, on November 4th. November 9th was when my mom passed. It was a Saturday. And the open door came when, and I, spent the weekend connecting with her, reflecting, with her, grieving her, all of those feelings, everything that comes with it. And I had a decision to make if that following Monday, November 11th, 11/11, if I would continue training in mediumship. And I had to make the decision, and I had to, through deep discernment, to decide whether or not mommy's transition was my portal to really fully immersing myself into mediumship, or if I should take a step back, just breathe for a moment and then come back to it. And I knew wholeheartedly that Reverend Ivy would support any decision that I made. I was so sure of that. But I knew and I felt in my heart that there was no coincidence in my mother passing while I'm learning the art of spirit communication. There's just mom's life just didn't reflect that. Nothing in her life would have reflected that her child learning mediumship at the moment when she had crossed and transitioned, that it wasn't coincidental. It wasn't coincidental. So I decided to continue with training. The beautiful thing about it is I learned so much about what I have learned about healing and what I know I will continue to learn about healing materialized and manifested and really kind of displayed itself in Mommy's transition. The day that she passed, ironically, I felt moved in October of 2019 to train in Reiki with Reverend Ivy and Paul. So I knew there was a reason why, and I remember the explanation that I gave as to why I was in Reiki training. It's like, because I want to give healing to my mom. My mom is not feeling too well, and I want to give her some healing. So as Mommy was transitioning, I gave her Reiki healing at her hospital bed in the ICU. And that was my way of connecting with her as she transitioned. The day that Mommy, so she crossed on 11/9. Now, so much of her passing and my continuation in mediumship with Ivy connects with numerology. Me being a numerologist, Mommy was teaching me about numerology with her transition. She transitioned on 11/9. The number 11 is a master number, one of the most spiritually charged numbers in numerology. The number 11 represents information coming to a person spiritually in lots of different ways, almost so much information that they can hardly hold it. The number 9 is the number of completion. She transitioned on the 9th. I then continued. So I made the decision, and I felt it wasn't just my decision. And I knew this mediumship is my life. It is part of my life's purpose. It's part of my path. It's the work that I promised God that I would do before I got here. So I decided to continue on with training. Continue with training on 11/11. Like that was the day that I started level 2 mediumship training, advanced training with Ivy. And again, of that 11 being a master number, that's not coincidental. And I remember as I was driving to Ivy's class in Niagara Falls or Lewiston, Niagara Falls, I believe it is. We'll say Niagara Falls. It was about a good 40-minute drive, and I enjoyed the drive. The thing is, that was, I think, the day before the full moon. That was the day before the beaver moon. And driving to meet our mediumship class, the moon was so full and so healing. And for me, usually when there's a full moon, I'm usually really energized and I feel, almost like on fire. This particular moon, because the beaver moon is a moon in Taurus, a full moon in Taurus, I felt such healing. Like the moon was like a healing balm for me. It was like I was taking medicine. The moon was literally giving me medicine as I was driving to my mediumship class. And that prepared me for what I am learning so much from Reverend Christina with astrology and the moon and understanding earth energy and understanding how the moon feeds us in different ways. And I now call the moon Mother Moon because I understand she has power and she gives us what we need when we need it. Never in my life had I experienced the moon as a calming energy until mom passed. Also with mediumship. So I started with advanced mediumship on 11/11. A couple of weeks later, as a part of Reverend Ivy's mediumship training, we participated in psychic fairs. And as part of my training, and I said, if I'm going to be in this, I'm going to be in it. And I had signed up to give readings at this training, and I went. And I remember those readings being so clear and so crisp because I felt in my soul, if my mother is as real as she is in spirit, then everybody else's ancestors who came through were just as real. So mediumship started to mean something new and something different to me when my mother became a part of the spirit world. And that was when I really understood the meaning and the power of service. Because with mommy being a part of the spirit world, that's now her world. That's where she lives. And it was my responsibility to be of service to the world now where she lives. And if that means being of service to ancestors and to everyone else's loved ones, then that is what I would do. And so it just took on new meaning for me by walking through that door and continuing with my training after mom had passed. And to this day, and I've said this in multiple spaces, mom absolutely adores Ivy. She loves her, like she hangs with her in moments that I just like.
He sure does.
Yeah, mommy has like adopted her as her own, and I absolutely love it. So that is the door that I walk through, and I am so forever grateful because it has helped me to learn about healing in so many different ways. And I know that it was meant for me to do that. It was meant, the timing was not coincidental. It was meant for me to do that. So that was my door.
That is one powerful door. Woo. And I just want to say, Danny, God bless you, because that is the hardest. I mean, that is like where people will be in so much pain, it's crippling. And you just made your way through it with flying colors. Like, absolutely phenomenal. And you know how proud your mother is of you, but for you to become a greater healer for the world through that kind of trauma is amazing. Absolutely phenomenal. I want to move on. Do you want me to hold this? I want to move on to, Reverend Christina, what has your experience been with this, and what did you want to say to everybody tonight?
Well, that was a beautiful story, Danny. I think I want to say that you didn't even realize that at that point that the moon in the chart represents mom. So, I mean, that's when I look at a chart, like, and I look at the moon in the chart, like I can tell you about your mom just by looking at that. So, so that's so telling that you were really following that, like the fact that you just looked at the moon and you knew that that was like mom, or that was like a healing for you. Yeah, the moon absolutely represents mom in your chart. So that's kind of amazing. But what a beautiful story. And I'm so glad that you decided to keep up with mediumship, because that has really been a blessing, really. I really wanted to talk today about eclipses, because doorways are always opening for us. We have eclipses every year, and eclipses are essentially portals, they're doorways, and this is what keeps us moving and unstuck. So there are opportunities. Now, I have in the past been one to like slam the door shut when it opens for me. So I'm in that learning process of not slamming doors, of walking through doors. And I think we talked a little bit about how sometimes last week, like Ivy was saying, like you can start something and then you can kind of go away from it and then you can go back to it. And I was thinking about that, how last year, and this is all going to tie into our New Year's show too. Ivy and I are doing a New Year's prediction show, but we're going to talk about a little bit how last year we were asked to step into a new life. So we kind of had one foot in our old life and one foot in our new life. And this year coming up, we're going to be asked to kind of go 100% into that new life. And all of that started back in 2018, if you can trace your time back to that. But, Ivy had me doing tarot, teaching tarot, and I had no idea where that would lead to. But, you know, and even I think like a year before that or 2 years before that, she's like, I see you doing tarot. And I was like, she's crazy, you know, always. She's always crazy. She's crazy. She doesn't know what she's talking about. And then there I was doing tarot. So, and that led to so much more. That led to me coming out of my shell and, you know, doing technology and more astrology. So, and I had trained years previous to that with Ivy. So, but anyway, yes, keep moving. The portals come in, and we have one on November 19th, which is Friday. So that is a door opening. And this is a North Node lunar eclipse. So it tends to be a power entry. So it tends to bring something with it. So when this door opens, there might be an opportunity. So it's really important for you to pay attention to what it is, because it's the first in a series of eclipses that are going to happen in 2022. And you're going to see, you know, that you're going to see these two signs, Taurus and Scorpio, but even if you're not a Taurus or Scorpio, everyone's going to feel it. You're going to see these two sides kind of push and pull. And there's going to be lessons for you there and doors opening and opportunities. And if you don't take the opportunities, you know, if you slam the doors closed, then you're inviting all of that stuff we talked about in previous, you know, sessions last week and the week before. And we may, now eclipses sometimes can, depending on like where our chart is, it can make us kind of scramble, like we have to act very quickly. There might be some kind of immediacy to it. But it's really meant to move you into a direction that's more authentic for you. Because when we end up staying stuck in something, you know, because we're comfortable and we don't want to be uncomfortable, we don't want to not see the, you know, the steps ahead, like Ivy was saying, we can only see that next step. So for my spiritual journey right now is to learn to trust that next step. And, you know, I always want to see all the steps. That's, you know, that's human nature. But now I know that I can't do that. So I am learning to trust. And these eclipses are major moves, major power playing in the sky, power playing energy. And when we have a North Node lunar eclipse, there tends to be a buildup of energy. So it can be a culmination of some kind. It can be a recognition. It can be a heightened emotional time for people. And sometimes eclipses are funny things, because sometimes an eclipse will happen and you're like, oh, nothing happened. I'm good. But then you see the effects later on. It's almost like a seed was planted, or, you know, something slowly came in, the energy changed up just a little bit, and then down the road you can kind of see things changing. So they're all different, but, you know, and we'll talk more about this in our New Year's show. But we're going to talk about, you know, purging, and we're going to talk about values basically with these eclipses that are rolling in. And half of the battle is consciousness, which leads to alignment. But it's just the, you know, it's just the getting stuck factor. I loved what Ivy was talking about, how we want to control because we fear, right? And that has been a huge deal for me, is fear. And Ivy just confirmed, because I've been thinking I think she was my third sign. I'm trying to put together a video, or maybe even a class, but I want to teach people how to lift their vibration. It's not positive thinking. It's more of a release of stuck energy, so that we have room to be more positive, so that we can higher the vibration and we can think more high vibrationally. So I've been thinking about how to do that. And then when Ivy was talking about alchemy, and that is basically what it is. It's taking the stuck chakra energy, because you're scared, you're frightened, you want to control things, and then releasing it and hiring up the vibration. So, and I do listen to meditations, but they're too darn long. So I would love to do like a 20-minute one, and, you know, that somebody maybe could listen to twice a day or once a day. And, you can rely on that to help you out of those moments and bring you back into the present moment, because that is truly when spirit speaks to you, is in the present moment. If you think about how you are in a crisis, right? You could be in la la land doing whatever, but if there's a crisis, you're going to get present real quick, and you're going to try to decide, okay, what should I do? And you're going to rely on your instincts. So that's why we can't get too caught up in la la land, like we like to. And we need to bring it back, and we need to see what doors are opening for us so that we can enter them in the present moment, because that's where our power is, in the present moment. Yeah, and we're going to look at a whole bunch of things, but as for now, I think, keep your eyes open to what is going on for you this week. It's important, because you're going to hear that echoing through 2022. Very important. And that's all I have.
Well, amen. All right. So I know that a lot of people right now are feeling the rumblings of, the eclipse, a lot of other things going on just in our, personal journeys, and how difficult it's been even the last couple years, 2019, 2020. I mean, it really kind of activated, and then it was peaking in 2021. How many of us had to make changes to relationships that we had gotten used to? How many of us saw the number 7, right? Truths revealed in our lives about work, about money, about government systems, educational systems, racial discrimination. I mean, it went on and on and on, and the pandemic hit. We are all in a place where we have to allow for this progression to finish the process. Some of us are doing pretty well, and we've just jumped in and said, okay, we got to let the past wash away. And other people are taking little baby steps and then getting stagnant, 1 step forward, 2 steps back. And some people have really just dug in and said, no, absolutely not. I'm not accepting any of the truths that are being revealed to me the past few years. I'm just going to stay exactly where I am. And they are quickly deteriorating because of that. Everyone needs to get on board. Okay. I see it as part of the awakening. It's a now or never moment. And we, even for those of us who are doing it for the first time, I pray over you guys that you are bold enough to do so. And yeah, listen to the wisdom of these ladies here. This is dead on accurate, even right down to the eclipse this, 19th, I think you said?
Yes, and we also have a closeout eclipse December 3rd as well. So we're closing out the lessons of 2021 and some of 2020 as well. So it's kind of a pivotal time right now. And, like you said, grief is needed. That often happens around an eclipse. There can be grief, and allowing that, but also knowing, that will pass, and that you are walking through another door. I think it's very powerful.
Yeah, look forward, not back, people, because there is another door. Okay, so I don't know how we want to do prayer and healing requests and questions and comments here. How do we want to handle this?
I can't really do that.
Is it this?
It's not a touch screen.
Okay.
Well, is our video still wacky on YouTube?
Is this YouTube right here?
Yeah, it looks okay here, but if it's screwed up on YouTube, I can move this and
I can take this.
and we can scroll through.
Okay.
I don't know.
All right. So again, forgive me, everyone. I got stuck in a bit of a snowstorm out of town, trying to make my way back to the house to film for tonight. So we are having to manage from the vehicle here. I do want to take any prayer and healing requests that we have, as well as any questions or comments. Are you able to see?
Yeah, so we have, we'll just do some, can you read the healing request, or is it easy if you read there?
That's fine. Okay, so we have from an Elaine. She says, okay, so we are going to move into prayer and healing requests at this time. All right, so let's get into this. Holy Spirit, we thank you for being with us today and always. We thank you for the guidance that you constantly give and your never-ending support in helping us to see the truth in the way, to bring us to higher ground. And I pray over everyone tuning in with us tonight, and also those that watch this video in the future, that they find the strength to open those doors, to move through those new doors, and to do it even joyously, embracing a new adventure as they go forward, and to acknowledge that the weight of releasing toxic energy or anything from their past that was holding them down, to also celebrate that instead of just focusing on what feels like a loss. All right, we do want to get into, we have Elaine. Okay, please heal my cat Freckles, diabetes, and hyperthyroidism. Okay, praying over Elaine and her cat, as well as her health issues. Okay, asking that she can receive some relief from the problems this is causing her, and to get some new freedom going forward. Okay, we have another prayer here from Angel Threlika for her family, and what she feels is some negative, evil influences. So we pray for protection over her and her family. Praying over Tanya for her brother-in-law, Kevin, who's just diagnosed with cancer. Prayers over the family and Kevin, as well as the doctors. Prayers for Shauna, for healing higher vibrations to loved ones that have found a bad path in drugs, and also praying over her kids. Okay, praying over all of her loved ones and for the chains to be broken on those suffering addiction. Prayers over Angelica, for her and her family, who also feels that she has some paranormal attacks within the family system. Prayers of protection and guidance over her and her family. Praying discernment for them. All right. Did you girls want to add anything to this tonight?
Just prayers from my friend Cammie and her husband.
Also, prayers for Marcia, that she physically heal, and that her treatment is as successful as possible.
Okay. Amen. All right. And for those of you who tune in to this later, feel free to continuously post your prayer and healing requests. I do get to them throughout the week. And I'm just glad that we were all able to be here together in spite of all of the complications here on the road. Closing thoughts, if we each want to jump in, I just want to say, I'm wrapping this up tonight, that it's so important that we live, that we forget to live our lives. We get into such routines that are really fear-based and habitual. And we forget that we've been programmed to just survive. I think it's important to periodically take a step back and ask yourself whether or not you're actually thriving. Are you really living passionately? And if you can say no to that, there are probably quite a few things that you haven't done that you need to do. Start with those and be bold enough to follow Spirit's guidance, be obedient, and start walking through those doors. Girls, what are your closing words here?
I think stay open to possibilities. During an eclipse, fated events can happen, but you need to, and it demands that we pay attention, but it's for your highest good. Stay in tune with your intuition. That's the key, and stay open to those possibilities so you can live a more high vibrational life, more passionate, and more in line with what you came to do.
And to wrap up as well, as just an invitation to remember that when a door opens, we very often are not meant to know what is going to happen when we walk through it. Like, it is intentional, it is intended for us to have faith and to know that we are held when we walk through those doors. But especially when there is, we know that we are being guided by those who love us, by the light. In one of Reverend Ivy's mini classes, the still small voice, when that still small voice encourages you to walk through the door, you know that you're safe to do so. And we might not know what's on the other side, but we know it's something that's meant for us and something good for us as well.
Beautiful. All right. Thank you so much, Reverend Danny, Reverend Christina, Reverend Paul, everyone who was able to tune in here tonight. So glad to have you with us. We will see you back here next Sunday. We do our sermons, our Sunday services every Sunday at, what are we at right now?
8 p.m.
8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, please recommend to everybody, go back and watch previous sermons. Go to YouTube and Ask Ivy up in the playlist under Root Survival Interfaith, or anywhere that you can download a podcast. Love you guys. Have a great week. Thanks so much.
Love you both as well. Thank you.
Have a good week.
Too.